Maybe.
Hey, you did it.
Perfect. Yay. So welcome to the Just Serve Insurance Solutions team call. Today is Thursday, November 6th, and I'd like to introduce I would consider you a friend at this point, Eric, because you've served my mom and my dad, so that makes me happy. Um, so what I'd like you guys to do is please put questions in the chat for Eric. And yes, I am at a hotel, and yes, I am going on a cruise. That's why I'm wearing these ears for reindeer ears. I'm going
I
on a
love it.
Christmas cruise. So
Let's
if my
go.
connection becomes unstable or whatever, I appreciate it. And also, there's a little delay, so just understand that I'm not trying to cut you off. But I'd like to introduce Eric Hamadi, who is from what I know, you have been with FFL. I want you to talk a little bit about where how you got to FFL, where you've been. And I met you for like Strong met you at convention. So again, guys, if you're not going to convention, I would never have met Eric if I hadn't gone to convention and made this connection with him to understand the concept of health insurance. Um, so that's just one of the reasons why you would go to convention, right, Eric?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
please introduce yourself. Tell us where you came from and all that stuff.
Yeah, my pleasure. Also just maybe on your end, I don't know that I'll need to, but if you could maybe enable the screen sharing. So if I need to pull something up, that'd be awesome. But yeah, thank you guys for having me on, and thank you, Heather, for having me on. Yes, I consider us friends too. And anytime I get to know somebody's mom, we're pretty much friends at that point. And uh, so yeah, so I got and man, what a glowing intro. It's like I love coming on conference calls, but then sometimes I'm like, man, I hope I live up to these intros that they give me. So yeah, I got my insurance license in 2003. And so that's 22 years this year. Um, so 22 years I had my license. For the first 5 years that I had my license, I only wrote for one carrier. I was a captive agent. I got started. They were a health agency. Pardon me, a health carrier. All they sold this small little company. One of my buddies knew the CEO of the insurance carrier, and they were a small regional carrier. I think they were maybe in 10 states when I signed up with them. I didn't know anything about insurance. The only thing I knew for sure was that I was broke. And so um, I I knew I couldn't pay my bills, and so I was in sales. And this buddy of mine, we had the same job when we were in college. We used to go door to door during the summertime. We signed up with this company. They would send us to some like remote area in rural America usually, and basically like, okay, this is your county, and you go to the county courthouse, and you get yourself a county map, and your job is basically to drive every like nook and cranny and holler of this county and knock on every door. And we sold these like educational books, like books for kids that were in school, that would help with homework, tests, and quizzes and stuff. And after I did that for 4 years all the way through college. That's the way I paid my way through school. And I recruited a team. You could recruit a team and making. That's when I learned what overrides were. I thought that was great. I'm like, this is terrific. So thought I died and gone to heaven. And so but when I graduated from college, I made a couple of promises to myself, and one of them was that I would never go and knock on another door again. Like I was like, dude, I've knocked on thousands of doors. I sat down and literally, I mean, our business back then was we would knock on as many doors as you needed to knock on to do 20 demos in a day. So you were supposed to do 20 demos. Like worst case scenario, if somebody didn't let you in the house, you'd be like, hey, no, okay, just hey, real quick, and you'd whip out one of your books and do like a porch demo, and that would kind of count. And so you had to do 20 a day. And I was just like, dude, I'm just I don't mind cold calling, but I am not gonna go knock on somebody's door. That's I'm not doing that again. And so this was 2003, and my buddy, I was selling software, and I was not doing well. The company wasn't doing well. Couldn't sell the stuff, and So, but this buddy of mine said, "Hey, let me take you to breakfast and tell you I'm starting a business and I could, maybe use your help and all this stuff." And it was kind of just, it sounded so sketchy the way he approached me about it. I was like, "Well, dude, I mean, I'll let you buy me breakfast, but I'm like, if it's Amway or some pyramid, I'm just not into it." And he's, "No, no, 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 it's totally different." And so I showed up, and he starts flipping through this binder. Basically, we had a 3-ring binder with these presentation pages on it, and he was demoing me a cancer policy. And he had these little stick figures. 1 out of 2 men get cancer, 1 out of 3 men get cancer, women get cancer, 3 out of 4 families deal with cancer. And what about you, Eric? Have you ever known anybody close to you that's gone through cancer? And I'm like, "Well, yeah, my uncle had cancer, and what, well, tell me about it." And he had this whole sales pitch on cancer insurance, and that's what it was. It was like the same type of policy you would buy from Mutual of Omaha or Aetna. You can go in your portal, or Manhattan Life. They got a cancer plan, right? And I got paid 30% commission. So we got 30% commission to sell this cancer policy. Average policy was $700-800 a year. And you know when I asked him, I said, "Okay, well, I can get my arms around how this policy works." I'd never heard of a cancer policy before. I didn't even know that was a thing, insurance that paid you. And I said, "Well, how are you going to sell this? How are you going to market it?" And he's like, "Well, we used to go door to door selling books. We go door to door selling insurance, And I'm like, "Wait, what?" He goes, "Yeah, we were in Houston." He's like, we drive out to the outskirts of town. We'll find some small little town, where everybody knows each other, 30, 40 minutes away, and we'll start knocking on doors." And I'm like, "No, not doing that." And so I turned him down. And a couple months later, after I turned him down, my next door neighbor, who's a good buddy of mine, him and his wife, Kristen, got diagnosed with cancer out of nowhere. She was 24, breast cancer. And even though they have both had great insurance, they both had corporate jobs. She was a teacher at school. She, ran through her sick pay before you knew it. Ran out of all the days that she could use, and that her fellow teachers donated their days to her. And she ended up running out of her sick days just in a couple months. And then when she ran out of sick days, they let her go because and when they let her go, she lost her health insurance. And so then she's on his health insurance, but now they got the copays and deductibles because she's not double covered. And before you knew it, they couldn't afford one of their car payments. They had to move out of their apartment. And they ended up moving in with this family at this church that they went to. Basically donated them this garage apartment that they had. And they lived in that garage apartment for a year and a half while she was going through and finishing her treatment. And but it didn't take me a year and a half to figure out that, oh man, no, people need this. Like it was like 2 months, 3 months down the road. I called up my buddy Larry, and I was like, "Hey, I get it now. Like that policy makes sense. I'll go door to door selling that for sure." I got no problem doing that. And so that's how I got into the insurance business. So that's what we did. We went door to door. And so I tell you that story because sometimes when you're really passionate, most of you guys got into this business maybe because of money, but some of us, because of mission, you really believed in it. Something happened to somebody you knew, and you're like, "Man, no, I want to protect families." Either way, you get into the business, it's totally fine. Okay, so it's all good. Nobody's better than anybody else, but just because you got motivated a certain way, right? What's going to make you stand apart in your career is is to the extent that people can see that you actually uh, give a damn about their situation. Pardon my language. Okay, if people know that you care about their situation, then you're going to just crush it compared to somebody who's transactional or just hunting the next commission check. Okay, um, we all have radios, and we can suss out when somebody's in it for themselves, or whether they're in it to try to help us. And so um, you know, and the reason I want to frame the conversation today like that is because I think so many times we get on these training calls, and it's like, how can I make more money? And believe me, if you're adding value into people's lives, you're going to make more money. The more value you give, the more money you're going to make. That's the law of the universe, right? Um, However, like you got to remember, like, the big picture in this business isn't a self-portrait, right? This is not about me, right? This is about the next family that I'm helping, right? When that phone's dialing. And so, nobody's perfect. I forget it. Sometimes I forget it for months at a time, and then I remember, right? And then when you remember, it's one of the most powerful things you can experience, because you're like, oh yeah, this isn't about me at all. So so in that
Right.
context, right? In that context of it not being about us, right? How can you make the most use of the license that you've earned, right? So all of us, like, my first license was here in the state of Texas. I'm in Austin, okay, Texas, and what authorizes me and authorizes you to talk to people about their insurance situation is the state. Okay. So the state that you live in has granted you a license, right? They said, hey, you've passed our criteria, and we, the sovereign state of Texas, the state of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the state of Alaska, wherever you are, right? We authorize you, because of your education level, to go talk to people and help them with this issue. Do you guys get that? That is such a key thing, right? Like, unlike any other job you can have, right? Like, I could be selling, computer peripherals, I could sell internet access, right? I could sell screen printing, I could sell anything, right? But all of those things, you get your authority from the company that hires you, right? Like, so if I'm selling iPhones, right? Apple Computers giving me the opportunity to sell this iPhone to you, right? But in insurance, the state gives me the authority, right? The products that I sell, those are companies I choose to work with. Okay. Americo doesn't give me any authority to go sell their product. I mean, they do, but like, I'm the one that goes and says, hey, I'd like to offer what you have to my clients. Does that make sense? And that's
Yeah.
really important to keep in mind, because a lot of times we think, because we've had jobs. This isn't my first job. I know this is not any of y'all's first jobs, right? Um, we think that our employer gives us this job, but in our business, we're independent agents. The state gave me this authority. I have a license to talk about this stuff, and I don't really care whether you get Americo or AmAm or whatever. Okay. What I care about is that your problem gets solved, right? And because we have leads, unlike when I started in the business, right? I had to knock on your door and figure out if there was a problem, right? We know you have a problem because you filled out this form and said you had a problem, right? So let me just help you take care of it. So I don't work for any of these people. I work for you, right? And that's my
I
whole thing.
love that.
Isn't that good? Yeah. So
Yeah,
that
I love that. So I really love that. Actually, is such a good point, because we go by scripts, right? Like we'll have a script and we don't have them memorize it. I know some companies you have to memorize scripts and stuff. We don't. It's right in front of us. But I want to bring back a couple things you said. Number one, you came in broke. You needed money, and a lot of us, most people just need this, and that we have this promise to, well, we're going to make money, and that's where your mentality probably comes in at first, and that was good to point out. Eventually, that money turns into, how can I serve, and it happens quicker than you think. And in this agency, Just Serve, that's like literally our mindset every day. How do we serve you better? Which ties into what you just said at the end. So I love that so much. You had a story to tell people. You had a story. If you don't have a story, you have the authority of the state, right? Because the state did give you that option. I like that word. It grants you the license. You might, and you might think, a new agent might, oh, I don't have any education. I don't know what the heck I did. You passed the test,
wrong.
right?
The state
So
says you do. Yeah, that's right.
that's right. You pass the test. And then when you plug in every single day to the team calls, to all the training that we get for free from Family First Life, we get this training. You learn along the way to actually bolster your license. You grow in education. right? So don't ever think that you don't know what you're doing because you have a bazillion people here to help you. Okay, maybe not a bazillion, but you have a lot, right? So, and then when they grant you that license, you have to you get to choose what products to give them, right? And we get to choose. And we were talking about ethos versus Americo versus this and that, and why we would write ethos last and all that. It's because we're serving the client and the best of our abilities. Now, somebody might say, as a very brand new agent, I'll give KB for example, Xavier is his name on here, but he like has one product when you start. Like your licenses, I mean your contracts come in little by little, right?
Yep.
So it doesn't matter. That's the best way for you to serve that client at that time. And it says my internet connection was unstable. I'm sorry. If you
You're good.
contract, not license, I'm sorry, contracts to come in, you don't have any contracts yet, your best way to serve them is to put an appointment later on in the week. That's your best way. How can you serve your clients? How can you protect them the best? And if you always keep that mindset moving from that moment forward, you are going to be the best agent that you can be, and you're going to grow in education and experience as you do it. So I love that. Eric, I have a question. Now, I know you talked about us not using our license, our whole license. That's huge for the majority of FFL. And obviously, I'm guilty of it. I'm comfortable farming out my health stuff to you, right? I'm comfortable with that. I'm like, Eric, you take my mom, right?
Right.
So, someone who focuses on life now, like we all do, how would you say we get started in the knowledge, in being comfortable with health, in adding it for our clients when we know nothing? What would you say the best way to start would be?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the best way to get comfortable with the health side of the business is to the very most important thing you can do is to learn how to identify a health opportunity. Okay. How do I like we know how to identify a life opportunity, right? It's when a lead gets generated. Lead gets generated and you're like, here's a life opportunity, right? That's easy. So where are the health opportunities? So the health opportunities could be you could go buy some health leads, but I would not do that. Okay. What I would do is learn to ask the questions, and I'm just going to give you a couple questions to identify which of these life opportunities are also health opportunities. Okay. Because if you can learn how to identify, the reason I say that is if you can learn to identify a health opportunity, then the best thing you can do is to refer, like just like what Heather did, refer that opportunity to somebody who knows how to handle it that will teach you how it works, right? And so, and I'm happy to volunteer, right? So, it's like, hey, I found a health opportunity. Can you take care of this person, and can I get on a Zoom and watch what you do, right? And yes, right. And you can do that over and over and over and over again with me or with somebody else, right? That you like and trust that knows what they're doing. Um, and just learn to identify them. Okay. And once you identify them and you watch kind of how that works, you don't have to wait. Okay. But most of us, we're busy trying to serve clients, right? And so you're trying to serve your clients. You're not trying to like carve out another hour a day so you can learn something new necessarily, right? I'm happy to if there's an opportunity there, but also it's kind of like, dude, I need to kind of work this in over time. So the best thing you can do first is learn to identify an opportunity. Okay. And I'm going to give you a couple of just, key areas where it's like, okay, this is probably an opportunity. Okay. So the easiest product, health product to start kind of crossover product, right? To merge in is a supplemental health product. Okay. So that's something like a cancer policy or a heart policy or an accident policy, those three: cancer, heart, and accident. Okay. Why those three? Well, so number one, cancer. I mean, I'm not going to ask for a show of hands. I know everybody on this call has somebody in their life close to them that's gone through cancer. Okay. I know that 3 out of 4 families deal with cancer. Okay. Um, so my wife's had cancer. Okay. For me, right? Like, so she's a cancer survivor. Uh, I'm pretty sure most people, my dad's had cancer. Okay. Skin cancer survivor. Right. So, cancer is a no-brainer. If you go read the Bible or whatever, what's the most horrible disease in the Bible, I think is leprosy, right? It's like, thankfully we kind of knocked out leprosy for the most part, but we haven't knocked out cancer. That is our modern day, leprosy basically, right? So, thankfully today, most people survive cancer. Okay. So the vast majority of people that get cancer today survive. However, it's also the number one bankrupting disease in the country, right? So when somebody goes through cancer, MD Anderson says the average out-of-pocket cost for an insured patient, so somebody who has health insurance and gets cancer, is over $40,000, okay, of cash that they come out of pocket over the year and a half, 2 years that they're dealing with it, okay? Most people don't have an extra, 35, 40 grand sitting in a bank account that they can afford to blow on cancer. Okay. So it is a easy policy to sell once you kind of figure that out. They're very affordable, and they can be as simple as you get diagnosed with cancer, you get a check, right? That's the simplest one. Mutual of Omaha has one, Aetna has one. Those are the two. And by the way, if you have a health license and you have Aetna for final expense, you already have access to their cancer policy. It's in your shopping cart bucket. Literally just add it.
Oh.
Okay. You don't need extra contracting or anything. Okay. Mutual of Omaha, you just need to let your contracting team, whatever your team is, know, hey, I've got my health license. I've got obviously Moo, and I want to add their health products. And that'll get you their Medicare supplement, their cancer policy, their heart policy, and a critical illness policy. Okay. So, but cancer is, you probably have a personal story, and you can use that personal story with every single one of your clients. Okay. Also,
I'm going to pause
well,
you, Eric, for a second. I'm going to pause you because I have a question
yeah,
about that.
yep,
So my biggest question there is going to be maybe in somebody else's head is, all right, so we sell life products that have the living benefits.
right.
So how would you compare? And my mind told me when you said $40,000, if they have a $25,000 life policy, they're not going to have enough to pull from the living benefits. That's obvious, right?
Yep.
But if they have something like an IUL that has critical, chronic, and terminal, would they need an additional if they didn't need the death benefit? Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep. So,
Why would you sell a supplemental at that point?
okay. So let's say I've got a term life express policy on somebody, right? Or an Americo HMS or whatever the case may be, right? And let's say that I get diagnosed with cancer. Okay. So first of all, there are certain types of cancer that don't um, accelerate the death benefit, right? It has to be a certain, it has to be a certain, it has to reach a certain level. You can't just get diagnosed with melanoma or something and accelerate your death benefit, right? Which is weird because melanoma is extremely toxic, but yet, yeah, it doesn't count. So that's one thing. Second thing is the amount of money that you're going to pay for a cancer policy is so negligible compared to, like, why would I accelerate? I have $100,000 term policy I just bought. Why would I accelerate half of my death benefit for cancer when I could just take it for my cancer policy, right? And it's not going to affect anything. Okay. Um, so not only can you accelerate, or can you get paid from a cancer policy without having to accelerate your death benefits? So that's number one. Number two, it's extra. So even if you could accelerate your death benefit and wanted to, why wouldn't you want to get the extra money as well? Because in addition to think about this, in addition to the 35 or 40,000 you're going to come out of pocket to pay MD Anderson or Mayo Clinic or whoever the stuff that your insurance won't pay, if you're going through chemo, are you 2, 3 times a week or whatever, are you showing up to work like everything's cool? Probably not. You're probably taking a lot of time off of work. You're probably not making as much money as you were making before, right? So you may need some extra money to supplement just to pay your bills. And most of us are a paycheck and a car wreck away from being, homeless. So it's like, most people we talk to. So like, so would that extra money be helpful? There's all these indirect costs, right? What if I need to travel? What if I need to go to Houston? What if I need a hotel room? What if I need a plane ticket? What if I need childcare for, a week while I go get this procedure done? There's all these different things I'm going to have to come at. What if I need to get my brother to come over and watch, but he's got a job too, and how can I help take care of him so that he can watch my kids so that I can go, you know what I mean? So like there's all these different things. That's just an easy one. If somebody has a story, like a family history of cancer, that's the easiest policy you can sell. And it's the most biggest no-brainer policy they can own, because when somebody has cancer in the family, are they more or less likely to have cancer themselves? More. So
I'm
not only,
literally going to go write this cancer policy on everyone in my family this
yes,
week.
yes,
Like this a no-brainer.
it's a
And they probably
no-brainer.
don't cost a lot either.
No, they're not expensive. You're going to
Oh
spend
my
probably less than
gosh.
$50, on a
I feel
cancer.
like a
So
loser not have done it already.
yeah, and if you don't have one yourself, write one on
I
yourself.
don't. My husband
Crazy.
had cancer. He died of cancer, for God's sakes. Like, it's crazy.
So
Thank
this,
you.
you're welcome. You're welcome. So that's a layup of a policy, right? If so how can I know that the person I'm talking to is a candidate for a cancer policy? Well, when you're doing the health questions, right? Just ask. It's not like, hey, are you cancer free, right? But like, do you have a family history? Just add that question. Do you have a family history of cancer? Mom, dad, aunts,
Yeah,
uncles,
that's
like
good.
that, right? If you just add that question into your underwriting, you now know. And by the way, this is another really important rule for cross-selling. I mean, in fact, this is probably the most important rule for cross-selling, right? Um, unless you start out the conversation talking about a bundle of coverage, right? Which most of us don't. You probably shouldn't if you're selling off of leads, right? So somebody fills out a final expense lead form or a veteran lead, a veteran life, or whatever it is that you're working. Solve their problem first, then do your pivot, right? So always close the sale in front of you first, then do your pivot. Okay. When you're first starting to cross sell, right? As you get fluency, then you're going to start kind of building this all together, and you can do some more fun stuff, build a bundle. But in the very beginning, because that's what we're talking about, how to incorporate this, right? Sell the products that you're selling first. Just train yourself to just add that extra question, right? Add that extra question on the cancer and the heart question, right? So have you had any heart attack, stroke, AFib, anything like that? No? Okay. What about family history? Mom, dad, aunt, uncle, anybody else like that have heart disease, right? Oh yeah, my dad had heart disease. Okay, got it. Now I know that there's a heart policy here. Okay. If your dad had a heart attack, you're going to buy a heart policy. Like that's an easy layup. That's like, would you like fries with that? Okay. When you're done, hey, we got this taken care of and we got all that. Listen, if I could show, and this is my pivot statement. If I could show you how to get, you know, 30, 40, $50,000 worth of extra cash if you go through something like your dad went through, uh, would you want to know about it? Would you want me to tell you about that now or call you back in a week? Right? Whatever. You can come up with all kinds of fun ways to ask the question, right? But that's kind of your pivot at the end. Okay. We used to call it. You guys still use the BAM fam? We used to use that all the
Yeah.
time.
Book a meeting from a meeting. Yep.
Book a meeting from a meeting. So you can BAM fam right at the end, right? And now the lead that you just, you paid, $20 for, $15 for, whatever the lead cost, right? You're increasing your profitability exponentially, because every conversation is probably going to lead to either a cancer or a heart or an accident. Bam bam. Okay. And so and one other thing about these ancillary products, right? Yeah, Demi. So Demi's question was, can I repeat my transition? So um, uh, if I could show you a way, so if I'm on the phone with Demi, right, and she told me that her mom had cancer, back in the beginning of the call, is when I wrap up, I just say, your typical closing stuff. So, hey, Demi, do you feel like I gave you good service today? Okay, perfect. You feel like you're in a better position now? You understand okay, awesome. I think so too. I think this is a great decision for you. So great call. Just before I let you go, Demi, one question. I was remembering how you were telling me how your sister had gone through breast cancer a couple of years ago. If if there was a way for you to get, 30, 40, $50,000 worth of cash deposited in your checking account, if something like that happened to you, would you want me to tell you about that now, or would you rather talk about that next week?
I
right?
love that. You find the pain point, you find the story, you ask the questions, and going back to those questions, you're already asking, do you have anything that acts like life insurance, final, 401ks, IRAs? You're asking the golden question, but your other golden question or your alternate question is, if I can, do you have anybody who had the, cancer, heart attack, stroke, you know, died accidentally, that type of thing. You add that into your questioning, and now you've got what you have to ask at the end. I love that. Never thought about it. Script is changing. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
That's just a
One,
simple question.
it's a,
Simple
it's a,
question.
it's a simple one. And, one, so I gave you the cancer kind of thing to look for, right? Family history of cancer. Okay. Heart, family history of heart. On the accident policy, you're welcome, Demi. On the accident policy, for an accident policy, the things you want to look for, it's so accidents don't run in the family. Although for some people, maybe they do.
Most
But
families.
yeah, maybe they do. Let me take that back. Delete. Okay. So, but typically we know, okay, accidents over. But there are things that make people way more likely to experience an accident. Okay. So the first thing is, do they have children? Okay. If they have kids running around the house, okay, those kids are going to have accidents. Okay. They're going to break their arms, they're going to break their legs, the things are going to happen. Okay. They're going to crash their ATVs, they're going to crash their bicycles, that is going to happen. And so like that is easy. If they have kids running around playing sports, right? Accident policy. Okay. If if they are a blue collar
You
worker, if
can
they
get
work,
accidental policies. I'm sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
You can get accidental policies on kids. I didn't know
No,
that.
you get a family policy, and you is a single parent policy or a family policy.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
I just learned.
If my kid breaks his arm, right? Playing football, he breaks his arm, right? Guess who's not going to work tomorrow? Because more than likely, right? Guess who's gonna have to? That's gonna affect me, okay? So financially, and so the money's not for him, money's for me, right? Because I gotta run around and haul his butt around all the different, get his cast put on and all that other kind of stuff, right? So anyway, the uh, any kids, okay? Also, any blue collar or gray collar type of work. So if you work with tools, you got a uniform when you go to work. It's got you got a name patch on your whatever. But accident policy. Okay, you're a mechanic, you're a construction worker, roofer, truck driver, right? Uber driver, anything like that, where you're out and about. Okay, that's statistically is the number one thing that's going to happen to you is you're going to get an accident, right? So it's the number one thing that kills people before they're 60, and it's the number one thing that you will have. Okay, I was riding my e-bike last year. I don't know, some of you guys follow me on social media. I mean, I crashed my e-bike, I smashed my face up, broke my wrist. Um, accident policy, right? So that's just such an easy layup is a accident policy. And you just want not accidental death, but an accident policy that will pay you cash based on the types of injury that you have. Okay. Um, uh, the best accident policy that I think you can sell is there's two carriers that I want to just kind of give a plug for here. One is Cigna, okay, and you can get that through FFL Health, and we'll put Heather, if you want to put the link in the chat, it's just
I don't
ffl.health.
even know.
Oh,
Okay.
here, I'll do it. I'll do it. So
That was
here's
actually going to be one of my questions.
okay. So here's our website. Okay. So this is Family First Life's healthcare website. And so if you click on that, there's a ton of resources, education, but there's a big red get contracted button at the top. You click that and you put in your information, who your upline is, and all that kind of stuff. And that way we can get you contracted with the carriers that you want and put you underneath your upline, where they are already contracted. And where they're not contracted, we'll get you contracted, and then we'll let your upline know, hey,
And
you
you
got
do have to have your health license first. So you have to have the health section of your license as well.
correct. Yeah. You
And your
just
upline has to be contracted as well.
but your upline doesn't have to be contracted. Okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
Yeah, and that's something that Sean made that shift maybe 6 months after we started it, because so many uplines don't have their health license. They don't really care
Mm,
about health insurance. They haven't kind of figured out this angle, and that's
okay.
okay. And so every agent's empowered to get contracted, and then we'll let the uplines know, hey, like you have a new agent here that's got has some health contracts. Do you want an override on it? If so, go get your license. Let us know. We'll put you in the hierarchy, right?
Okay.
Um, but you as an agent don't have to wait for them. Okay. You can, if you want to do it and they don't for whatever reason, and there's many good reasons why a big agency owner wouldn't want to fool with it. They're too busy. It's such a small part of their business. Maybe they just, I hear all kinds of things. My upline said this. There's all kinds of good reasons not to have it if you're running a huge agency. Okay. But if you're a producer, you're crazy to not have some health options for your clients, because the hardest part of our business, if I pulled every single person, we're not going to have time for it, but like the hardest part of our business is having conversations with people, right? Getting somebody on the phone that actually knows they have a problem, right? So, I mean, think about the way you spend your day. You're dialing the phone, right? Making your 150, 200, 300 dials a day, and you're waiting, you're listening to dial tone, repeat, 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 right? Or maybe you've got a dialer that you're paying somebody to do that for you, and you're going from appointment to appointment to appointment. You got shows and no shows, right? The magic time is when I'm on the phone with somebody face to face on a Zoom, whatever the case may be, and they know they have a problem and they want me to help them, right? That's the hardest part of my job, is to get there. So once I've gotten there, there's no way that I want that person to have more problems that I can't help them with. Like, why? Okay. So, because somebody else is going to help them with it if you don't. I mean, frankly, and I want to make sure that they don't meet any agents that are better than me or have more resources,
Right.
right? So,
So we're running out of time.
yep.
But there's so much more to this that we need, we need your time, and I don't even know how to repay you for your time. Um, Definitely, totally appreciate it. But right now, I think because there's also the Medicare issue coming into the society right now, and I know I've got a lot of clients who keep asking me, I don't know what to do with health. I'm referring them to you right now. I guess it's the only way I can repay you until I get more knowledge on how to do that, because we don't have time to go over that type of thing. So, for right now, would it be okay if right now we start asking you, or share your number if you don't mind, for things like that? We know now that we have the ability to do accidental, to do cancer. I'm definitely going to go out and write my whole family probably while I'm on the cruise. And you would say, like, I heard you, Aetna. I'm not a fan of Moo. Just they're pissing me off right now. Um, so
don't
Aetna, I'll
that's
write
a great
Aetna
thing.
all day.
You don't have to be married to any of these categories. We got plenty to choose from. So
We do, we do. So if we can, if you guys just start instilling that question into your script, and asking the questions and then presenting it at the end, just like you would as if it was an annuity, or just like you would if it was, a grandchild. You're upselling. I remember I used to work at Chuck E. Cheese, and at the end of the, pizza sale, we'd be like, oh, look at the cotton candy is only $2.99. You want to add that? Basically. It's the same thing. Just add the cotton candy, right? It's
yeah,
very
add the
simple.
cotton candy. That's it. Yep, that's right.
So
That's right.
we have so much more to learn, Eric. I'm probably gonna ask you to come on next month. Guys, he put his number in the chat. Reach out to him for good reasons, just to learn from him. And I'm assuming we can share commission with you as well. I'm not sure how that
Yes.
works. Okay. So
Yeah. Yeah.
if you guys reach out to him, and respect obviously his time as well, um, being that he's willing to help. Um, and then Eric, if you can, I'll have Camden set up another time for maybe next month, so we can start getting our clients into health. There's a big issue with health right now. I know
Well,
there's the world, but I know we have carriers, Manhattan Life and stuff like that, right? I
yeah,
know
let me just
I shouldn't ask you another question. I'm sorry.
no, let me because this is so important. I would be terrible at this if I left this out at the end, okay? And if you got to go, you got to go. But so right now there's such a perfect storm in the healthcare world, like right this second. Okay, now is open enrollment for Medicare. Okay. And it's also open enrollment for the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, whatever you want to call it. And premiums across the board are going up, which means that every person you talk to, if you're doing final expense, 90% of your conversations are with people that are 65 and older. That means so another let's say none of these transitions work for you, or there was no trigger for you to like have an upsell at the end. Just ask the person if they're 65 or older, hey, Bob, I enjoyed talking to you today. Do you feel like I gave you good service? Fantastic. Awesome. Was happy to help. Hey, just one question before I go. How are you fixed for Medicare? That's it. How are you fixed for Medicare? Okay. If they're 65 or older, they're going to unload on you. Oh my God. Da, 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 da.
Yeah,
Okay.
they are.
And that's a freebie. Okay. That's an opportunity, right? So just, okay, well, listen, if I could help you navigate the situation better, would you want me to do that now, or should we book a time for later this week? That's it. Okay.
Okay, and what I'm gonna do, because I know squat about it, is I'm gonna say I have a somebody I know. I'm gonna connect you with Eric Hemati, and I will be on the call because they trust me, right? They don't know who you are,
Right.
but I'm gonna be on the call. And when you guys are on the call, you'll then learn and split commissions with Eric to be able to, just like you would with an annuity, right? You would split commissions with the person who's helping you, and that would help your client in a better way, helps you, helps, Eric, and it helps our team in general. So Eric, I know that was huge. This whole thing was huge. I appreciate you more than you know. Like
Well,
God's
I
gonna
appreciate
bless
you
you
too,
in
man.
many, 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 many ways. So thank you.
From your
Thank
lips
you.
to his ears, I can use
Thank
it.
you.
You're welcome.
And I just
All
like
right.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I don't like I used to work with a captive company where I sold those supplemental accident, cancer, critical illness. I loved them. I love them.
Well,
And so I'm excited that we have this
Andrea,
opportunity.
here's the other thing that you figure out. Like you already know this, but when you help somebody on the health side,
Hmm.
that is the most referral friendly sale ever. Okay. If you
Yeah.
help somebody with a cancer policy because their sister gone through cancer, right?
Hmm.
Guess what? Everybody else who knew her sister is also a prospect. And that person, hey, who else can you think of that
Yeah.
would want to know about this? It's like, oh man, you got to talk to my brother. You got to talk to my mom. You got to talk to blah, blah.
Yeah.
You don't, and you can get referrals on the life side. And I love life insurance. Believe me, it's like
Mhm.
my core business, but like, it's just not as referral friendly a product. If you help somebody
Sure.
with Medicare, guess what they're doing, man? These ladies, they're sitting in the hair salon bitching with all the other ladies about their Medicare. And so the minute you're like, oh my God, you got to talk to my guy, da, 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 it's it's crazy. So it's just like it will get you excited about the
Mm.
business a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's outstanding. And then what that does for you guys is it lowers, eventually you're gonna feel like your lead spend can go down. So right now, people are like, oh, this is what you need to spend on leads. And yes, you do, because that's your base, that's your core. But eventually your lead spend goes down and down because your referrals go up and up. So this is huge, Eric. Oh my gosh. I feel like there's a very small team amount here. They just missed out on so much,
So
so
much.
much.
So
So
much.
I appreciate you being on here. The people who are here are gonna kill it. So I appreciate